Welcome to Perfect-ish, where it's not about having perfect time management, but about perfecting your relationship with time. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and every week we'll talk all things time and how to maximize it without burnout or guilt. Whether we're chatting with an expert or I'm sharing my 20 years of time management experience, you'll learn simple strategies to make every moment count. Here, it's all about getting close to perfect-ish. So let's synchronize our watches and dive in. Hi, friend. I remember on the very first day of summer break, my daughter Maddie, 14 years old, woke up and she said, "I'm already sad about summer being over." And I said, "Maddie, you have the whole summer. Let's enjoy it." But I get what she was saying. I get what she was saying. Summer and the magic of summer and the different pace of summer. Oh, it's just special. There's something great about it. And here we are holding on to the last vestiges of summer. I heard some schools already started back the very last couple of days of July. We still have a couple weeks before my kids go back to school, but I get it. And we're in this weird little space where summer is winding down. Sadness. And regular life hasn't quite started back yet. Even if your kids are about to start back in school or you're starting to get into the fall routine, it hasn't fully caught on yet. And there's still a little bit to be tied up here. And as I've been walking through some of this season with some of our method community and with some of my clients, I'm hearing some of these common phrases, something like, "I completely fell off track this summer." Anybody? Or, "My routine is totally gone. My habits that I worked pretty hard to get, they're disappeared. I feel like I'm having to start all over again." And I'm also hearing some people say that they're dreading going back to school, getting school started again and the work schedule because they feel so out of rhythm. So if that's you, whether fully or partially, and you're looking here at the beginning of August and you're feeling like you need to do a massive life overhaul, you got to get back on track. I have some good news for you. You don't have to feel like you've got to do this whole overhaul thing. Because what I want to do today is give you an August reset, not the kind that's going to make you feel like you failed at summer, because I hope you have loved your summer, but a little bit more gentle, a gentle kind that helps you ease back. We prepared for summer to come back in May. And now what we're doing is we're preparing for this next season. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. There's no pressure here. So I do want to start with a little truth telling because that is how we roll here as well. But if you're looking at where you are right now versus where you were in May and you're feeling like a loser or you're feeling lost, you're not alone. You're just human. This is very normal. And no matter how good of a job that you did prepping, setting that runway up, I know that just sometimes getting off track a little bit can feel a little broken. So our summer honeymoon is ending. The flexible schedule that maybe felt so freeing in June is starting to maybe feel either a little chaotic, a little out of control. I'm going to get back to my routine after vacation or on Monday. Those promises are coming due. And maybe it's so far down the line that you are feeling like you wasted your summer. All those projects you were going to do, all the things you were going to do in your free time, and none of them happened. So a little reality check I know is normal. Maybe your spring habits have disappeared in some ways. Maybe your routine got derailed by things like kids being home or travel or just that different schedule. Maybe you're feeling behind on the things that you said you were going to accomplish. Maybe you're dreading the alarms that are going to be set again, the back to reality, or maybe you feel like you want to completely start over. This is how I want you to think about it hitting different. There tends to be, if we're not careful, some transition anxiety. You're anticipating the chaos that starts when a new season hits. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of a summer guilt. Maybe you should have been more productive. Maybe you're having a little bit more all or nothing thinking. If you can't do it perfectly because you didn't do it perfectly, why even start? Maybe it's a comparison trap and you're looking back on what everybody else did this summer or what everybody else already has accomplished for their August. But what I want you to know is that summer was never supposed to be a more productive version of spring. It is supposed to be different, and different doesn't mean wrong. There is a book, it is a tiny book. You cannot skim through it, though. It's called The Deborah Anointing. It's not famous, it's not on the bestseller list, but it does talk about the seasons. And it really is talking about spiritual seasons as they relate to the physical season. And that there is a difference, that in the winter season, it is the death of things, and that the ground is not ready, available, or capable to have anything grow in it. It needs its rest, but there's a purpose for it. But it is just a season because then spring comes and the ground thaws, and the spring is this planting season. And so I just want you to know that the seasons that you were in, that's a natural progression. And maybe the fact that you were resting more, or that you were more flexible, or that you did prioritize being present over being productive. That's not failure at all. It's understanding that the difference there is not wrong. It is just the season. So, what people do wrong most, and I am people, by the way, just like you, I am people. What what we, what I can do wrong, what collectively we can do wrong with the August reset is that we try to go from summer mode, just like anything else. We try to go from summer mode to full productivity mode overnight. It's like trying to run a marathon when maybe all you've ever done is just walk. And what a lot of times happens traditionally is something like this. Summer's over, then you kind of clap your hands together. Time to get serious. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., meal prep on Fridays, work out every day, be completely organized. Our perfectish reset says this instead. Summer gave me what I needed. Now I'm going to gently and slowly rebuild the rhythms that made me feel grounded, one step at a time. Think of August as a bridge. It's a bridge between summer mode and fall mode. We're not completely abandoning summer yet. We're holding on, but we're also not jumping right back into the intense routine. It's a gentle transition. As a matter of fact, and I'm going to be sharing more of this in our Perfectish podcast community on Facebook. And if you're not in that already, you can click the link in the show notes. I want you to think of it as different phases of August. This is like the wake up phase, this first week or so of August. And maybe it could look like this: picking one morning anchor, the bookend of the morning, one morning anchor that makes you feel grounded. So making sure that you've added that back in. And then choosing one evening ritual that helps you wind down. That's the other bookend. These are the most critical pieces I find. The messy middle is still going to happen. The chaos is still going to happen there. But we're picking one morning anchor, one evening ritual that we're just making sure that we're getting back into our priorities. And then the last thing you could do this first week is identify one thing you want to feel more consistent about. And maybe it is your Friday planning. Maybe it is the weekly meal planning. Maybe it is getting back to moving your body. And then phase 2 is the second 2 weeks. So week 2 and 3 of August, adding one more supporting habit. And I'm going to be giving some examples of these in our Facebook community. I'll even type them out for you, so you don't even have to be worried about that if you're driving down the road. And starting to prepare for more of these fall transitions and practicing the rhythms that you want to have in place. So this again is not perfection. We're just practicing what this looks like. And then the last week of August is sort of your soft launch. It's testing out the things that you say that you're going to be doing this fall, testing out your September rhythms on a small scale, and then adjusting what isn't working without scrapping everything. So I just want you to give yourself permission to ease in. Think of it as these 3 phases: the little wake up phase, the building of the rhythm, and then the soft launch phase. So instead of rebuilding everything all at once, use these transition moments that already exist in your changing schedule. So let me just give you a couple of examples on what this could look like. Maybe some of these transitions could look like this. And I'm a big fan, James Clear call me, I'm a big fan of stacking things. And I find that that's the best way to do it. So, okay, let me give you some morning examples. After you pour that first cup of coffee or make your protein shake, write down one intention for the day. And you could write it on a notebook, you could write it on a wipe off board, you could write it on something on your fridge, you could write it on your phone. But here's one more thing. Before you check your phone, so let's also have a little bit of space there. Before you check your phone, take 3 deep breaths and stretch. You can listen to our previous episode with Christy on breathing. So maybe it's some box breathing, but whatever it is that you need. So a little bit of breathing. Or maybe you could say, after I get dressed, I'm going to make my bed. That's one of the most important things to me in the morning is that my bed is made. And it used to not be, by the way, let me also say that used to not be that my bed is made because every time I walk past my room and then as I prep for the night, it just makes me feel a sense of accomplishment. Okay, so those could be some morning transition stacks for you. After you make your coffee, you write down an intention for the day. Before you check your phone, you take your breaths. After you get dressed, you make your bed. Here's some also back to school prep stacking for you for those of you that have kids. Maybe it is after I check the school calendar and I start to put things down on my schedule, I'll prep one thing for tomorrow. Or maybe it is before I start dinner, I'm going to spend 5 minutes tidying one area. Or after the kids are in bed, I'm going to lay out clothes for the next day. So this is just kind of prepping yourself back into when things are a little bit busier. And then maybe there's an evening reset. So these are just some examples for you. Maybe after we clean up from dinner, I spend 10 minutes prepping for tomorrow before I sit back on the couch and then right? And then I never leave the couch. Or before I turn on the TV to watch a show, I will do one thing my future self will thank me for. I'm such a big fan of that. What is my future self going to thank me for? Is it going ahead and getting all the dishes in the dishwasher? Is it prepping my lunch for tomorrow? Is it making sure that something is done so that tomorrow it is easier? That one task, I can take it off my list. I said I'd do it tomorrow, but let me just knock it out now. And then maybe after you charge your phone, because everybody plugs their phone into charge for the night, I'll write down one thing I'm grateful for. These are really small things, but starting small is how you start strong. Building it gradually and not trying to become a different person overnight. That never, ever works. Spoiler alert, it never, ever works. So this is this gift of a gentle transition. And it works so much better than that dramatic overhaul. When you try to change everything, you're fighting against your nervous system. As a matter of fact, this is interesting. Let's nerd out for a second. Did you know that your brain sees sudden change as a threat and it resists them? So you could say, it's not my fault. It's my brain's fault. It's how God made our brains. But when you make small gradual shifts, you work with your bodies, your minds, your souls, your spirit's natural adaptation process. Isn't that fascinating? So when you try to change everything, you're fighting against your nervous system. And do not ever discount small change. It's the compound effect. It's like that math class where we were taught about compound interest. Small changes feel manageable, so we actually do them. Success builds confidence, which builds momentum. Your identity shift gradually starts to say, I'm someone who takes care of themselves. I'm someone who has a morning routine. I'm someone who, and you build resilience instead of just discipline, because discipline is usually something we fight against. And what's going to happen is your nervous system is reset now. And after months of this flexible schedule, then the nervous system gets a little bit of time, a little bit of runway to adjust to some more structure. And this approach honors your biological reality. And just one more thought on this, just because I have these thoughts about this all or nothing. Again, we're not going to shock our system. We can adjust our course without feeling like we failed. We can create sustainable habits instead of unsustainable bursts that zoom eek, right? That we feel really worse about. and we can maintain what we loved and the lessons we learned about summer, about that rest and about that flexibility. So let's not try to go from summer me to productivity me overnight. Let's just be someone who adapts gracefully. And this is really going to be a great form of creating our identity rather than just that rigid productivity. So we're not going to try to be somebody different. We're just going to be somebody who navigates transitions. As I mentioned, I'm going to give you a little bit more resources because this is a lot to listen to. So I want you to see it down on paper. I'll give you these resources in our podcast community, and I'm going to give you kind of the week 1 reset. I'm going to give you some categories. I'm going to give you the week 2, that kind of gentle build. Week 3 is like we're practicing, rehearsing into the fall, and then that week 4 soft launch. I'll give you a few things there in the podcast community just so you can have a little bit more. So here's what I want you to remember as we wrap this up, to know you didn't lose summer. You're not behind. There's no regrets looking back. You lived summer. And now we're going to gently bridge that summer wisdom and what we loved about it and what we took from it into some fall rhythms. We don't have to be a completely different person. We just want to be a transitional person and do that gracefully. So you didn't fail at anything. You didn't lose anything. You're not behind. You were just responding to a different season. And now you get to build some new habits that honor both your need for structure and your need for flexibility. So we have a little bit of both. Start small, build gradually, trust the process. And what I hope is that this perfectly imperfect reset is what we all need to ease into fall. Let's start to ground ourselves into fall and not feel guilty. All right. So thank you, Summer. You've been good to us. You taught us some rest. You taught us some great lessons. And now we're going to have August teach us how to begin again gently and perfect-ishly. All right. Make sure that you're part of our podcast community so you can get the other extra resources here. And let's gently glide into beautiful fall and beautiful August. Okay. Till next time. God bless. Thanks for tuning in to the Perfect-ish Time Management Podcast. Let's keep the fun going. Follow me on social and join our Facebook community. And if you're ready for some one-on-one time management coaching to reach the top of your game without burnout or guilt, I'd love to chat. Book a free interest call using the link in the show notes or send me a DM. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend who's ready to master their time too. Remember, we're in this together, making real progress towards becoming perfect-ish.